The courtroom was already full when the old veteran arrived. People had taken their seats early, whispering among themselves, curious about the strange case scheduled that morning. No one knew much. Only one thing was clear: an elderly man almost 80. Maybe older was about to stand before the judge for reasons nobody understood. The doors opened slowly, and the old veteran walked in. His steps were soft, almost too soft for a room so silent. He wore a faded, worn-out coat that looked older than some of the soldiers sitting in the back row. His shoulders were slightly bent, and his hands trembled as he held onto the railing while moving forward. But his eyes looked heavy, filled with memories that nobody could guess. People leaned in, trying to get a better look at him. "Who is he?" Someone whispered. "Why is he alone?" Another voice asked. None of them knew the answer. And the judge, known for being strict and short-tempered, watched the old man with a sharp, impatient stare. He didn't care who the man was. All he cared about was order, rules, time being wasted. The old veteran walked slowly toward the front, every step echoing through the room. The prosecutor, a younger man in a neat suit, rolled his eyes as if this entire moment was an inconvenience. The bailiff followed closely, making sure the old man didn't fall. The judge cleared his throat loudly. "Bring him forward," he said. His voice heavy with command. The veteran stopped at a small wooden stand. He didn't look up. His gaze stayed on the floor as if the weight of the world rested on his back. The judge leaned forward. "State your name," he said firmly. The veteran did not respond. A few people snickered. Someone in uniform shook his head, thinking the man couldn't hear properly. The judge repeated himself, louder this time. "State your name for the record." Still, the old man stayed silent. His lips didn't move. His eyes didn't rise. He stood there, like a statue carved out of old stone. The judge tapped his fingers on the desk, irritation growing. "This court does not have time for games," he snapped. "Speak up, old man." But the veteran didn't speak. Not a word. A strange tension filled the room. It felt like the air grew heavier, pressing down on everyone's chest. People exchanged confused looks. Some felt annoyed. Some felt sorry. Others felt something cold and unfamiliar fear. Something was different about this man. The bailiff stepped closer to him, lowering his voice. "Sir, the judge is waiting. You need to speak." The veteran lifted his head slightly, just a few inches, and for a moment, the bailiff froze. Up close, he could see something that others couldn't. Behind those tired eyes, there was pain, deep old pain. Pain that came from battles fought long before anyone in the room was born. The judge saw the hesitation and grew angrier. "Well, what is it? Why isn't he answering?" The prosecutor sighed loudly. "Your Honor, this man is clearly uncooperative. Maybe he doesn't understand the process. Or maybe he just doesn't care." The judge narrowed his eyes. "Everyone in this room will respect this court, old or young, strong or weak. He must follow the rules." The veteran closed his eyes, as if remembering something far away. A distant memory, a voice, a sound. Maybe a battlefield, maybe a friend. Nobody knew. The judge leaned forward again. "This is your last chance. Speak your name." The old man's hands tightened on the railing. His knuckles turned white. His lips parted. But no sound came out, not even a breath. People leaned forward, watching closely. The room was so silent you could hear the small ticking of the courtroom clock on the wall. A young officer sitting in the back stared at the veteran with a strange expression. His brows pulled together as if trying to remember something. "I've seen him before," he whispered to the soldier next to him. But before he could finish his thought, the judge raised his voice again. "Are you refusing to answer this court?" He barked. The old veteran didn't move. His silence was not rebellion. It was something else, something deeper, more hidden, more painful. The judge slammed his hand on the desk. "I will not tolerate disrespect. If you do not speak now," but the veteran still said nothing. The judge's anger grew. "Fine. If he won't speak, this court will move forward without his cooperation." Let the record show before he could finish. A wave of uneasiness spread across the room. People could feel that something was coming. Something in the old man's silence carried more power than any shouted words. The bailiff stepped back. Unsure why his heart felt heavy, one woman in the back pressed a hand to her chest, whispering, "Why do I feel like he's hiding something huge?" The judge looked at the old man again. For a brief second, only a second, he noticed something in the man's eyes. A shadow, a story, a warning. But the judge pushed that thought aside. "Last time, old man," he said sharply. "Say your name." The veteran slowly lifted his head. This time he looked directly at the judge. His eyes were tired. His face was lined with age. But there was something else. There was something strong, eh? Strange stillness filled the room. Everyone watched. Everyone waited, and for the first time since he entered the courtroom. The old veteran opened his mouth. His lips moved slowly. He drew in a breath, and the judge leaned forward. Because the whisper that was about to come would change everything the moment the old veteran opened his mouth. The courtroom leaned forward as if pulled by an invisible force. Even the judge, who was known for his temper, stopped speaking. His eyes fixed on the old man, waiting, almost afraid. What would come next? But nothing came. The veteran's voice cracked before any word could escape. His breath trembled. His lips shook, and then he closed his mouth again. The entire room released a long, frustrated sigh. Someone murmured, "He's doing this on purpose." Another whispered, "Maybe he can't speak." The judge slammed his palm on the desk again. "Enough of this nonsense," he barked. "If you can whisper, you can speak." But the judge didn't understand. Nobody did. The old man wasn't refusing. He wasn't being disrespectful. He was fighting something inside, something heavy, dark, and silent. The prosecutor stood up, adjusting his tie with confidence. "Your Honor, may I?" he asked, stepping toward the veteran. He circled the old man like a predator circling a weak prey. "Sir," he said loudly, "do you understand where you are? This is not your living room. This is not a battlefield. This is a courtroom. And in this courtroom you must talk." The veteran didn't look at him. His hands stayed on the railing. His eyes remained low. The prosecutor scoffed. "Your Honor, he is refusing. I say we proceed without his testimony." The judge nodded. "I am close to agreeing." But before he could strike the gavel, the bailiff raised a hand. "Your Honor, with respect, maybe we should give him a moment." The judge glared at the bailiff, surprised anyone dared to interrupt him. "A moment? He has wasted enough of this court's time," the judge snapped. The bailiff lowered his hand respectfully, but he couldn't hide his worry. Something about the old man didn't feel right. The young soldier in the back, the one who felt he recognized. The veteran leaned forward again. His eyes were wide, filled with a strange mix of confusion and fear. "I know him," he whispered. "I think that's—" But before he could finish, the soldier next to him pressed his arm. "Don't say anything yet." The older soldier's gaze stayed locked on the veteran. He had a feeling this man wasn't ordinary at all. The judge stood up from his chair. "Old man," he said, voice echoing through the room, "I will ask you one more time. Say your name." The veteran finally moved. Slowly, painfully. He raised his head. This time, everyone could see his face fully. The wrinkles weren't just age, they were stories. The scars weren't just injuries, they were battles. His eyes weren't just tired, they were haunted. And when his gaze met the judge's, something strange happened. The judge froze, just for a moment. His harsh expression vanished. His anger softened. His voice caught in his throat. It was as if the judge suddenly felt something from this man, something invisible but powerful. But the moment passed quickly, and he straightened again, pretending nothing happened. "Speak," he ordered. The old veteran opened his mouth again. A soft breath escaped. His lips moved. Everyone leaned forward, and then a sound came, but it wasn't a word. It was a broken whisper, so faint that even the judge couldn't hear clearly. The prosecutor frowned. What did he say? The judge leaned forward. "Speak louder," he barked. The veteran's shoulders shook slightly. The veteran's shoulders shook slightly. Not from fear, not from weakness, but from something else. Something buried. Deep. Something that wanted to come out but hurt too much to say. A woman sitting 2 rows back felt tears in her eyes. She didn't know why. She didn't know this man. But something about him felt painful, familiar. Human, the young soldier in the back, stood up suddenly. "Your Honor?" he called out. Everyone turned. The judge narrowed his eyes. "Sit down, soldier. You are out of line." But the soldier didn't sit. He pointed at the old veteran with a shaking hand. "I know him." The room filled with whispers. The judge exhaled loudly, annoyed. "And who is he? Tell us." The soldier swallowed hard. I can't say yet. But I know he's not refusing because he wants to. He's refusing because..." He stopped, unsure if he should continue. "Because what?" the judge demanded. The soldier hesitated. He didn't want to reveal classified information. He didn't want to say something wrong. But he also didn't want the old man to suffer. Because his voice... He took a breath. His voice was damaged in the war. "Your Honor?" A wave of surprise hit the courtroom. The judge blinked. The prosecutor frowned deeply. The bailiff looked down in guilt. The veteran remained still. He didn't confirm it. He didn't deny it. He simply stood there, breathing slowly, as if every breath hurt. The judge's tone softened, barely noticeable. "Is this true?" he asked the veteran. The old man's mouth moved again. This time, a faint whisper came. Just one word, a name. But no one could hear it clearly. The judge leaned forward. "What did you say?" The old veteran repeated it just a little louder, but still too soft. The judge leaned back, frustrated. "Your whisper means nothing if the court cannot hear it." But this time, something was different. The young soldier sat down suddenly, eyes wide. He had heard the whisper. He recognized it, and his entire body went cold. Because the name the old veteran whispered was a name that should not be spoken lightly. A name that belonged to someone from a mission buried deep in classified files. A name connected to a secret operation that most soldiers knew only as a rumor. The soldier looked at the old veteran again. "Ch. Heart pounding, sir. Is that really you?" he whispered. The old man didn't answer, but the look in his eyes said enough, and the soldier felt himself tremble. He stood back up slowly. "Your Honor," his voice cracked. "You need to hear that whisper. For all of us." The entire courtroom fell silent again. The whisper, whatever it was, had the power to shake the room, and everyone knew it. The courtroom was silent. So silent that even the ticking clock on the wall sounded loud and unsettling. Everyone stared at the young soldier who had stood up. His face was pale, his hands shaking, his eyes fixed on the old veteran with a mixture of fear, respect, and disbelief. The judge cleared his throat, clearly annoyed, but now also uneasy. "Soldier," he said, trying to sound in control, "explain yourself. What do you mean we need to hear that whisper?" The young soldier swallowed hard. "Your Honor," he said softly, I think that old man is someone important. Someone I was trained to learn about. Someone they told us never to speak of." The courtroom murmured immediately. People exchanged confused looks. Someone whispered, "Is he serious?" Another said, "What secret is he talking about?" The judge raised a hand for silence. "Enough," he ordered. "Soldier, come to the front." The soldier hesitated for a moment, then walked down the aisle slowly. His boots echoed against the wooden floor. Adding to the tension, he stopped beside the old veteran, standing tall but visibly nervous. When he looked at the veteran, something passed between them, something no one else could understand. It was like the soldier was looking at a ghost from history. The judge leaned forward. "Now," he said, "tell us what you think you heard." The soldier shook his head. "It's not what I think I heard, Your Honor. It's..." The way he said it, the judge frowned. "The way? What does that even mean?" The soldier took a breath. "In training, we were taught about a code," he explained. "A whisper code, used only by one person. A man who operated behind enemy lines. A man who was said to be invisible, silent, deadly. The courtroom froze. The prosecutor laughed nervously, trying to break the silence. "Oh, come on," he said. "This sounds like a movie plot." Not a courtroom statement, but no one joined his laughter. The soldier continued, ignoring him. "He was a legend, Your Honor. A man with no official records. No birth name in files. No picture on any wall. But soldiers knew his code name." He looked at the judge, then at the old veteran. "When I heard the way he whispered his name, the softness, the tone, the pause, I knew it." The judge rubbed his forehead. "So what is this code name?" "Say it." The soldier hesitated. He glanced at the old veteran again. The veteran didn't react. He didn't interrupt, didn't shake his head, didn't deny it. He simply waited. The soldier finally spoke. "Your Honor, we were told never to say his name out loud, but you need to understand who you're talking to." The tension in the room grew so heavy that even breathing felt difficult. The judge's voice dropped. "Say it," the soldier whispered. "Ghost 6. Gasps erupted across the courtroom. The prosecutor dropped the pen he was holding. The bailiff stepped back in surprise. A woman in the audience covered her mouth. The judge leaned back in his chair, stunned. "That's impossible," he muttered. "Ghost 6 disappeared over 40 years ago. They said he never returned." The soldier nodded slowly. "Yes, Your Honor. That's what the government told everyone. Even the military thought he died on that final mission. But if this is him?" The judge stared at the old veteran, uncertainty filling his eyes for the first time. "Old man," he said quietly, "is this true?" The veteran didn't answer. He didn't nod. He didn't shake his head. He simply looked down again, hiding something that weighed more than the judge's authority. The prosecutor regained his confidence and stepped forward. "This is nonsense," he snapped. "Ghost 6 was just a story told to fresh recruits. Something to scare them. This man is just the soldier." Turned toward him sharply. "It's not a story," he said firmly. "Ghost 6 was real," the prosecutor scoffed, rolling his eyes. "Where's your proof?" The soldier looked at the old veteran again and spoke calmly. "Sir, would you show your left wrist?" A shock ran across the room. The veteran didn't move. The soldier stepped closer, lowering his voice. "I'm sorry, sir, but they need to know." Slowly, with trembling hands, the old man reached for his sleeve. He rolled it up, inch by inch. Gasps echoed around the courtroom. There, burned into his skin, was a faded mark, a symbol, a scar, a permanent reminder of something painful. It was the mark of the Silent Brigida, classified group of elite soldiers who operated in shadows. The judge whispered under his breath, "My God." The prosecutor's confidence evaporated instantly. He stepped back, face pale. The soldier looked at the judge. "Now you understand, Your Honor. That whisper wasn't disobedience. It was the only voice he has left." The judge stared at the old man, guilt beginning to grow inside him. He had barked at him. He had humiliated him. He had ordered him to speak louder. But Ghost 6, if this man really was him, lost his voice. During a mission where he saved dozens of lives, but suffered injuries no one ever talked about. The judge felt it. "Wait." Pressing on his chest, the bailiff took a step forward. "Your Honor, what should we do?" The judge didn't answer immediately. He looked at the old veteran, really looked at him this time. Looked at the old veteran, really looked at him this time. Not as a stubborn man, not as an uncooperative witness, but as someone who had given more than anyone could ever repay. Finally, the judge spoke softly. "Old man, if you truly are who they say you are, then speak whenever you are ready." The veteran lifted his eyes slowly. Behind those tired eyes, pain and pride mixed together. And then, he whispered again, just one word. This time, the young soldier heard it clearly. His eyes widened. His breath caught. "Your Honor?" The soldier whispered, voice trembling, that word. "It's not a name." The judge leaned forward. "Then what is it?" The soldier swallowed hard. "It's a warning." The rescue team's boots thundered against the metal flooring as they pushed deeper into the abandoned hangar. The air was thick with dust and the scent of rusted machinery. Behind them, the faint rumble of distant explosions shook the walls, reminders that time was running out. Colonel Rayan moved with urgency, his flashlight slicing through the dark. "Everyone stay alert," he ordered, voice steady but sharp. "If our intel is right, the missing captain is somewhere in this structure." A sudden flicker of movement flashed to their left. Lieutenant Sam instantly raised his rifle. Contact front. But when the figure stepped into the light, the soldiers froze. It wasn't an enemy. It was the old veteran, the same mysterious man whose arrival had triggered the entire operation. His uniform was torn, dust-coated, and there was a streak of dried blood across his temple. But his eyes, those steel-gray eyes, were calm, unshaken. Colonel Rayan lowered his weapon. "Sir, we thought you were captured." The old man shook his head slowly. "I wasn't captured," he said quietly. "I was hunting." The team exchanged looks, confused, startled. The old veteran pointed deeper into the hangar. "They have a device, something they don't fully understand. If they activate it, this whole base, maybe the whole region, will vanish in seconds." Sam swallowed hard. "Sir, why didn't you call for backup?" A faint smile touched the veteran's lips. "Because some battles must be fought in silence." He turned abruptly. "Follow me, and stay close." The group moved through a narrow passage until they entered a vast chamber filled with crates, blinking consoles, and a humming machine at its center. Wires snaked across the floor like black veins. The machine pulsed with an eerie light, each surge brighter than the last. "There it is," the veteran whispered, as the team approached. A sharp metallic click echoed behind them. They spun around. 6 armed mercenaries emerged from the shadows. Weapons aimed and ready, their leader stepped forward, smirking. "Old man, you really should have stayed retired." The veteran didn't flinch. Colonel Rayan signaled quietly, preparing for a firefight, but the old man raised his hand, stopping him. "No," he murmured. "This is my burden." One of the mercenaries laughed. "You against all of us. You're finished." The veteran extended his hand, not in surrender, but toward a small metallic badge clipped to his vest. With a single swift motion, he pressed it. A shockwave burst outward. The lights crackled. The mercenaries were thrown back as if struck by an invisible force. The team staggered, but remained standing. Sam blinked, stunned. "What was that?" "A failsafe," the veteran said. "Something only my unit was ever issued. Most forgot it existed." The mercenaries scrambled to their feet, disoriented but not completely defeated. "There's no time for another fight," Colonel Rayan urged. "Sir, what's the plan?" The veteran looked at the machine, the pulsing, unstable device. "The core is unstable. It needs only one thing to shut down permanently." He paused. "A manual override from inside." Sam's eyes widened. "That's suicide." The veteran's smile was soft, peaceful. "Every soldier dies someday, son. But not every soldier gets to choose why." Before anyone could stop him, he sprinted toward the machine. "Sir, wait." Rand shouted, but the old man was already climbing into the access chamber, the device's glow intensified. The team watched helplessly as the machine erupted in a blinding flash, then silence. The humming stopped. The lights dimmed. The massive structure settled into stillness. Colonel Rayan's voice trembled. "It's over." Sam lowered his weapon, grief tightening in his chest. "He saved all of us." Again, a single locker nearby clattered open from the shockwave. Inside lay the old veteran's dog tags. Sam picked them up slowly, eyes stinging. Rayan placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "Make sure the world knows what he did." "I will. This story will never die." Outside, the first rays of dawn broke over the horizon, soft, golden, and full of quiet honor, the kind of dawn that only appears after a hero's final battle. The end, asterisk. The end, asterisk.